You are now listening to the Lasting Legacy Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode. This is episode 4 of the Lasting Legacy Podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. We have Alicia Aguirre. She is part of Team Gena Ryder here in Pueblo, real estate agent with Remax of Pueblo, correct?
That's right.
Cool. So thank you for coming on to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
For sure. So we're going to start off just tell us a little about yourself and how you got to where you're at.
I'm an Aquarius, and
That's important. That's important.
I was not born, but raised in Texas. Moved out to Pueblo to play soccer in college, CSU Pueblo, and I graduated with an accounting degree. That's how I know you.
Shout out to me.
Is this going too far back?
Shout out, Brad.
No, you're fine.
Okay, like how far back
This
do you want me
isn't
to go?
it's not like a very structured interview or anything. Yeah, just free balling it. So.
All right. I got my accounting degree at CSU Pueblo. I moved back to Dallas and worked at a bookkeeping job for 3 years, I think. 3 years. And then I decided I wanted to move back because my now husband lived here and got into real estate.
Nice.
Do you want me to go on?
Well, no.
Okay.
No, you're good. I mean,
my job.
There's more to the story.
All right. Next job. No, yeah, there's a ton more to the story. I've known you for like almost a decade now.
Yep.
So obviously I know a lot about you.
So
Yes.
I'm gonna ask.
David just met you.
Yeah.
So
I know
yeah.
you.
Yeah,
Sweet.
definitely.
So you said you went to school at Brad.
Uh-huh.
How was that? Let's start with that.
Well,
Yeah, how
he was like
that?
the smartest person in every class, but like you wouldn't have guessed it
Clearly, look at him.
Yeah.
But we were study buddies, so we were at the library like every day for me because I needed his help.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the workhorse and he was the brains. That was pretty much how I would describe it.
Okay,
That's
kind
how
of
I
like how
got through.
this podcast goes.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
that
the
makes
workhorse,
sense.
and he's the brains of the numbers, and
Yeah.
then I'm the creative.
Yeah.
Yeah, the creative.
I've always been made to be the brains of the operation, I guess.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
big deal.
The number of times he had to explain depreciation to me is kind of frightening, but somehow I still got an accounting
We're
degree.
here. Yeah, somehow
Yeah.
we're here.
Here.
Well, you're not an accountant, but we're
That's
here.
true.
Yeah.
That's true. Thank God.
So you were an accountant before you were a real estate agent.
Yes.
Talk about like your role as being an accountant and what kind of rubbed you the wrong way and made you want to make that jump.
Well, where I was, it was a kind of a small bookkeeping firm in Dallas. And I just was working with a bunch of older people. Like, I think I was the youngest by like 30 years. And it took me 3 hours to do all the work that it took them to do all day. And I just wasn't like being challenged.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't feel like, I don't know. I felt like 40 years old and I was 23. So I just had to get away from it. I don't know. It was a good first job because they taught me a lot and I learned a lot about business.
Okay.
And I think that's what helped me kind of transition into a realtor. But yeah, it wasn't challenging.
What does that transition look like? So you're unhappy at your accounting job and you're like, I need to be challenged. I need to help people at that point, I'm assuming.
Yeah. I mean, I growing up, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Like when I learned that word, I was like, ooh, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. But I never really knew what kind I wanted to be. And so like in college, we had a professor. Do you remember Professor Duncan? Was it Duncan or Martinez that said you either control the money or you control the information?
I'm not sure.
I think it was Martinez.
I've had both of them, so I'm not too sure. Yeah.
I think it was Martinez. Anyways, so that's when I was like, well, I'm not going to be an IT person. So I might as well stick with numbers because I was always good at math, stuff like that. So anyways, I think back then I decided, if I know how to run a business with numbers, then I can be successful pretty much in whatever I do. So I think learning, just basic profit and losses, budget, stuff like that really helped me run my own business and be smart about where I'm spending, where I'm not spending, read a financial statement, stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So what about well, actually, let's back this up. So you said you've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Did you do anything as a kid? I mean, I know you said you didn't really know where, but did you have any like business ventures when you were a kid, like lemonade stands, anything cool like that?
Not really. I grew up an athlete. I played soccer my whole life, played in college. So that was kind of like my job. And I would say growing up, I would draw and do like artistic stuff and be like, oh, it'd be cool to sell this one day or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I got in really into like baking, and I was like, oh, I could open a cupcake shop, just like random things that I was like, okay, I'm kind of good at this.
You had the thoughts.
Yeah,
and
maybe I
just
could do it.
Never jumped on
Yeah,
anything.
and that's like so crazy. What I find about you is like you have both sides. Like you have a very artistic side.
Yeah.
Like you would draw these crazy doodles in an accounting class, which makes no sense.
Yeah.
Because usually like you're a numbers person or you're artistic.
Yeah.
And it's like the fact that you do have that crossover has always been pretty weird to me.
Yeah.
So
I can't
definitely gonna
explain it.
study your brain after you're dead.
Thank you.
So,
I'll donate it.
It goes back to like the right brainers or the left
yeah,
brainers. And
yeah,
stuff like
seriously,
that.
because
Yeah.
that's how it's based off of or whatever. I think, and usually you're more like one or the other, but you don't really seem to have that.
You're just right
Yeah.
through the frontal lobe all
Yeah.
the way to the cerebellum.
I guess my obsession was like, how can I take something creative that I like to do and turn it into business?
Okay.
So I don't know.
I mean,
don't
that's
know.
yeah. I think a lot of times in the creative side, that's where they struggle.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
agree.
an interesting combination for sure.
Yeah.
So how did you get into real estate? What got your feet wet? What opened your eyes to that?
Well,
And time frame ish.
so I graduated college in 2014, and then I worked in my accounting job till 2017. And I had been dating my now husband long distance. We met in college. So I knew I was probably going to move back to Colorado at some point. And I was looking at accounting jobs, and I was just like, if I'm going to move and like do something kind of badass. So I quit accounting, and I was like, maybe I'll try real estate because I don't know. I always liked houses, and I thought it was always interesting house shopping, like with my parents and stuff like that. Like I was the only 5-year-old paying attention when people are looking at houses. Anyways, so I was like, it might be cool. It's a good way to start a business, but also have some structure and like, a brokerage under. So there's policies in place and stuff like that. So in 2017, I got my license. And when I left Pueblo, sorry, Pueblo natives, but I was like, I'm never going to live in Pueblo again. When I leave Pueblo.
Here you are. Huh?
When I leave Pueblo, I'm never
Welcome
coming back.
Yeah.
And now I work
Welcome
here
back,
and I live here and I love it. Anyways, so I thought I was going to go up to Springs. Went up there. And honestly, like I lost everything I had saved. I had saved up all this money. Cause again, like I know what it takes to start. I didn't back then know what it took to start a business, but you have an idea, like you're going to have to spend money. And so I had a lot of money saved, and I lost it all in 6 months
To
up in
real
Colorado
estate?
Springs. Yep. So up there you were required to get these training programs that were like $1,000 each. Like just, ridiculous stuff that now, had I known better, I would have seen like, okay, I don't need to be doing this. I need to go meet people. Like I'm sitting in a classroom for 6 months learning things, but I never interacted with anybody. And so I started driving for Uber to try to make ends
Oh yeah,
meet.
I remember that.
Met a lot of creepers.
Only imagine.
Yeah. So I did that, and I was like, oh, maybe I can meet people this way. Like, But then it turns out people who need Ubers are either going to the airport because they're in from out of town, or they can't afford a car, so they can't afford a house.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
it really didn't work out. But that was kind of my way of grinding, I guess. And then, after 6 months I think I got one rental deal and made $200 and lost. Yeah, I know. And so I was like, I can't do this. Like I had a total mental breakdown. I went home. I moved home for like a month. And then I came back and I did something which I hate doing, but I asked for help. I asked the brokerage. I was like, this isn't working for me. I've got to go to Pueblo because I wanted to stay with them. It was a Remax up there.
Yep.
And sell in Pueblo, but they wouldn't let me. So then they referred me down to Remax of Pueblo, and I had a meeting with the broker, Gary Miller, the next day, and I was sitting in his office, and he was like, well, when can you start? And I was like, right now. And I went with them and shadowed them, and then eventually Gena became my mentor, and so I was still on my own. And then want to say like 3 months into the mentorship, she asked me to be on the team, and
Nice.
never looked back.
So can you kind of break that down, because I know it confuses me that there is an umbrella with real estate. So Remax, I'm assuming, is the top of the umbrella.
Yep, that's corporate level.
Okay. And then it kind of goes down by team, correct?
Well, so each Remax brokerage is owned by a broker owner.
Okay.
So that's a special license you have to have. You have to have X amount of experience. You have to take a different test. And basically they can sell real estate still, but they're managing their branch
Okay.
of Remax of Pueblo.
Okay.
And then within that, you've got single agents, and then you've got teams. So a single agent and a teams basically operate the same way. The only difference is the team has more people.
Strength in numbers.
Yeah. And then within the team, there's different structures and the way people run them. But
Okay.
that's kind of how it breaks down.
Interesting. So the team still abides by the guidelines set by Remax, but obviously you have strength in numbers, and I'm assuming more leads. I mean, you have more people to work those leads, essentially?
Yeah. So I think one of the things that we offer our clients as a team is, we've got a lot of experience. Our leadership on the team, it's Team Gena Ryder. So Gena has been in the business for, oh my gosh, now I'm not going to remember how many years, but a lot of years.
time.
Like
Okay.
Nick's been in 14 years. Gena, I want to say 20 something years. She's a beast. She's a badass. So Nick and Gena brought me on and taught me everything, like crash course. But I think the reason that we're so successful is because we're all really close. We're like a family. So it's not like, okay, you work in that office, you work in that office, you work in that office, and we meet every Monday. It's like, what do you have going on today? Every single day.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you have going on in case somebody calls. I know, okay, I can help them.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that kind of sets us apart. We're all kind of in each other's business, for better or for worse. But I think it helps, and it kind of runs
Keeps the
the
ship
machine.
moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, keeps that ship moving.
Yeah.
That's kind of the key to anything, like when you're building it. Yeah, I mean, if you guys are all going in the same direction,
Right.
you're gonna go a lot further.
Right.
So it's like, it's hard to find people. So it's really cool that you went. I mean, it's not the first time though, because you were in Springs. It didn't work. Once you found that ship, that good ship or whatever.
Yeah.
You really
God.
take off.
I don't know what I did to deserve the chance to be on their team, but it changed my life for sure. Like, and it just clicked, when it's just works and it clicks, and it did. And so
Yeah, you guys are killing it.
we're doing pretty good.
So I'm sure Gena was around for the 2008 market crash. Has she mentioned any correlation with that 2008 crash to what's currently going on with our market?
Yes and no. So I think kind of our outlook on it is the good thing about being in Pueblo is we kind of get a heads up on what's going on with Denver and Springs. It trickles down. So we have an advantage in that sense. Our market's smaller, but we can kind of read the writing on the wall when it's coming. It's definitely slowing down a little bit. Rates are crazy low, obviously, and it's a seller's market still. It's been that way for a few years now. So I don't think it's going to be coming like next year, but I think it's coming. I do, and she does too. We've talked about it
Like
as
an
a team.
all-out
So you-
crash, I'm assuming? Or what's coming?
Because-
And that's the
specifically?
thing in Pueblo is it never felt like the hurt that Springs and Denver did. Like it was a crash and there were a lot of foreclosures, but it wasn't anything like it was up there.
Okay.
So I think if it happens, it's going to be very similar to that.
Correct me if I'm wrong too, but the 2008 crash is strongly because of banking and not because of real
Lenders,
estate.
correct.
Yeah.
Because they made loans that people couldn't afford,
Right.
and then they all went bankrupt. They all started defaulting on those loans.
Right.
Now, the from what I've read for this current market is one of the benefits is that in these past couple of years, the housing price has just gone up so high. The chances of like a mass foreclosure is low because so many people have so much equity in their house already. If something went wrong, they would just sell it. and you wouldn't necessarily get it foreclosed on. That's
Yeah.
kind of what I've heard. But I mean, the pricing, like the crash would be different, but the pricing and stuff you think still could slow down a little bit more or something.
Yeah. I mean, the increase in sales price is crazy. So I was actually looking at it today, and I was looking at the commission side of it, but I've sold each year the same amount of houses. And each year the first year I doubled. The second year I don't know, how do you say?
25% increase.
There you go. Thank you, accountant.
Quartered it.
Quartered it.
Quartered it. Had that. Yeah, that's a new thing. Anyways, so it just goes to show and it's crazy that I've sold the exact same number of houses, which I want to change this year. But
That is crazy.
But
we'll definitely get into that.
But anyways, like it just goes to show, like from 2018, 2019 till now, I mean, 1.5 times.
So when the housing price that you're selling increases, is there like a lot more that goes into it, or is it kind of like a fairly, like the process is very similar, or is it like, okay, this house is like worth more money, so we need to do like,
Are you talking about when we're pricing a house? Or what do you mean?
like the process of like buying or selling like a new house, or like not a new house, but like a more expensive house, you know what I mean?
Does
like,
it change? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, like is there like, when I bought my house it was like 175. Is it kind of like the same process if it was like 775, or is there like any more precautions or anything, or not?
Just a
They
bigger,
kind of just knock it all out.
bigger
Or?
down payment, bigger earnest money. You know, the higher priced you get, that's what you're gonna run into, is more cash out of your pocket.
That makes
But
sense.
the loan process is the same.
And your process as a real estate agent is the exact same, whether it's a $50,000 house.
Yep.
Versus
Absolutely.
that $500,000.
Yeah.
We do professional pictures on every listing that we have, because
Nice.
everybody's house is special to them, and
It's huge. 'Cause
Yeah.
I do shoot for a lot of real estate agents, and I do real estate photos, and they only call me for their higher end listings.
Yeah.
You know,
See,
which
that's-
is interesting.
That's what I like. Like I bought my house through you, and I mean, like I said, my house was 175, which is not a lot compared to, I'm sure, some of the deals you guys close. But it's like, I was bugging you like so much, like I really made you work for that small little commission, but you didn't have a problem. You still like, and not only you, but like I know Nick, he wasn't even part of the deal really. But he was even helping me through it too. And so you know, you guys, I feel like regardless of the price, you still put in the same amount of effort throughout the whole thing. That's from my experience, definitely.
Yeah, I think a big thing for us is we really take pride in building relationships with our clients, because I know we talked about this before the podcast started, but it's like very emotional. Whether you're selling or buying a house, it's your first house, it's your second house, it doesn't matter. It's an emotional process, and you're catching people, you know, when they're stressed out, maybe at their worst. Whoops. Sorry.
Maybe in the middle of a COVID pandemic.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, you get people when they are highest of highs and lowest of lows. Divorced, we have those. People just died. You got to sell their house. Like, it's always an emotional process. It's never.
To be honest, I don't
business.
really know. Like, you can plan all you want, but I've heard the same thing. Like having a kid, you can plan all you want, but you're never ready.
Yeah.
You know, essentially,
Yeah.
I feel like that can correlate with the real estate side of things. You're never truly ready to buy a house if you've never really been through that process.
Right. Yeah. And it's a daunting process, especially
gosh.
if you don't have somebody that'll
Bidding,
answer your phone calls all the time.
Bidding wars. When I
Yep.
purchased my house like 2 years ago, like the cash offers that are coming in from out of state or even in state, that is crazy. We look at a house at 8 o'clock in the morning. They're taking bids till noon. 4 o'clock they have offers coming out, and it's totally crazy. So I mean, it's probably better to be on a team to answer those phone calls and like be readily available. Like, hey, I thought about it over lunch. Let's increase our offer. You know, let's do this. Let's, you know, at the time we were meeting in the middle on like closing costs and all that stuff. I'm sure now it's just like, nope,
Nope.
there is no meeting in the middle. You pay it all. you
Yeah,
know?
pretty much. I mean, a couple of months ago, it was crazy. People were paying appraisal gap, so over appraised value cash out of their pocket to get houses. And it was happened all the time.
So what does that look like going forward if you're in a house that is now, like, let's say a market crash or whatever, and your house is now settled back down? So these $100,000 homes that were on the lower part of the town, that were maybe fixer-uppers and they never fixer-upped, what does that look like if they want to sell now? Are we going to have negative equity within homes?
I mean, you could. We've had a couple scenarios where we've had to turn around and sell real fast for a client, and we've gotten them out of it. Worst case, they're breaking even. We can push the market a little bit, lately, because it is so high, and you've got people coming from Springs and out of town, and everybody wants to live in Colorado. So it's a little bit easy right now, but if the market were to crash, then you never know.
Yeah, I just don't know, like people my age buying houses that might be over what they would have paid. If it's like a car and it depreciates in value, I mean, usually it goes up in value,
right,
which is kind of nice. But
that's the good thing about real estate, is it's a safe investment. If it does go down, it'll go back up. You know what I mean?
You just have to ride the wave, and
right,
hopefully it works out for what you're looking
right,
for, in your situation.
It's like for the housing stuff, right? Like there's such a shortage on houses, right? I feel like that makes it like crash proof almost. Does that make sense? I guess because the quantity is so limited until Pueblo, or really the whole country is at such a deficit of housing, affordable housing. Like until that deficit is closed a little bit, I don't know how we could really have a crash, because one house goes up on the market and there's going to be 5 people that want it. I guess the crash would, I guess I'm thinking out loud here, but I guess the crash would come more on like the financial side, in the sense of like people can't afford to buy these limited houses. Does that make sense?
That's what we're running into. I mean, you get people all the time saying, "Hey, I'm approved for $200,000," and
Here's
2 years ago that was great. You can find a really nice house, and now it's like, okay, well, are you FHA? If you're FHA at $200,000, there are things out there, but there's also 30 other people looking for the same thing. So it's that
same amount in cash,
right? So it's tough if you're on the lower end. And then the rental market's even worse. I mean, it's crazy what people are paying for rent right now.
I don't understand the rental market.
It's crazy.
I know like the renters just decide this is the number. Square footage, this is the number. Or
I can't believe people are paying. I guess you have to live somewhere. But I mean, it's crazy. I know people who are renting houses out for like literally double their mortgage payment, and that's screwing up the market so bad, because that's not how supply and demand needs to work.
I see the other thing too. I'm sure you see it more. Renters selling their homes,
like investors selling their rentals.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, yes, somebody who's like trying to get out of the rental game, it's a great time to sell. Absolutely. But typical investors want to sell one and buy 3 more, kind of thing, and they can't do that right now. So
you would think you would hold on to all your chickens, since they can't reproduce right now. Okay, that's super interesting.
Yeah,
that's like Dave Ramsey. He buys everything in cash. So when the 2008 market crashed, he had tons of cash on hand. He bought so much stuff at dirt cheap prices.
That's what I want to do.
Really, like you if you want to be an investor, I feel like right now it's kind of like a hard time to buy investment properties.
It is.
I feel like right now is the time to just like save up your money and wait to shark up when it does go down. Then you might be able to get 2-3 houses instead of getting just one.
Yeah. So how do you feel, like we keep saying like market crash? Like how does that, like on a personal level, you're like, I'm going to make money regardless of what happens to the market. But like people have been preaching market crash in California, that has never happened. Never have you seen it happen like that. So like, how does that make you feel with the market crash? Like, do you think it could happen? Do you think it will happen? And what does it look like for you?
It could happen. And if it does, I think one great thing about our team is our ability to do a lot of different types of real estate. So Nick and Gena have done the foreclosures. They know exactly how the process works, how to work with the bank, because that back end is very, very intricate, I guess I would say. I mean, if the bank goes in and they want to do repairs, you're responsible to get all the people in there to do the repairs. You're responsible for turning in the bills. You're responsible for,
so you become the general contractor and the accountant to get these foreclosures flooded.
And then you've got to do weekly BPOs and broker price opinions. So you got to go in and say, okay, it hasn't sold yet. Maybe we're overpriced. These are the comps to support that we're overpriced. Because at the end of the day, the bank is the boss.
They want as much money as they can get.
Exactly. So they've done that. So, and they know how it works. I've done a couple, but they've done a lot. So I'm not worried, but it's going to be tough. Yeah. And I think, the good thing about it is the people who are in real estate, and when it's easy to be a realtor right now. It just is. Like, you put your sign in the yard and it sells. When it's hard to be a realtor, that's when the good ones really stand out. So
it separates the real from the fake.
Right. So, I just think if it happens, it'll be hard, but it'll be probably good for Pueblo in general, because
a little cleansing.
Well, yeah. I mean, I hate to sound like a bitch, but I don't know. I just think it's really easy to be a realtor right now. I know I said that, but
No, I agree.
it's hard because you work with somebody and they don't know how to write a contract, but they're submitting an offer on your property, and you're like, well, what kind of loan are they getting? They just don't even know. And
makes your job harder. Why do I have to explain this process to you?
Yeah, and then you feel bad for their buyers. Like, holy cow, the buyer can't get a hold of them.
Person?
The buyer's calling me, and I'm like, I can't talk to you. I'm not your agent. You have to go through your agent. Well, my agent's not helping me. And so it's just, you run into this more and more. The hotter the market gets, it's like, nobody wants to help anybody, and then
people are just trying to like cash grab. They're like,
right.
Oh, this seems like an easy job and I can make good money.
Exactly. I get to set my own schedule.
We can go into that a little bit more. Is off camera we talked about like photo video being like a very saturated market. Somebody buys a camera and all of a sudden they think that they can charge $500 for a photo shoot, which is not the truth. Like, when you buy from me and my service, you're buying all my years of experience and everything like that to make sure that you get exactly what you're looking for. Now, in the real estate market, like you said, you can hop online, take a few tests, and boom, now you're a real estate agent. You find a firm, right? A
brokerage.
Yeah, you find a brokerage, and then what does that look like?
Yeah, I think something that, like I said, a lot of brokerages are trying to get people on because the more agents they have, the more money they make. And a lot of the main brokerages, I'll say, like, the known named ones, I guess I should say, preach that they teach a lot. And like I said, I spent 6 months learning and I didn't learn a damn thing. You know what I mean? Like, I learned verbiage, I guess I could say, but I didn't know how to call somebody and talk to them. Like, I didn't know how to walk
Sales
in a room and be like, hi, I'm Alicia. And not only that, it's not even about that. Like, you do need to know how to write a contract. You do need to know how to do, negotiate and stuff like that. But I think more than that, it's about building a relationship and just listening to people, because a lot of times they're going to tell you exactly what they need, and people who don't take the time to listen are just, more worried about making money than anything.
I had a short stint in sales too, and one of the things they did teach you, like sales tactics and stuff like that, and one of the things was guiding the conversation to where you want to get those answers without having to ask the question directly. So I feel like, communication skills in people nowadays is like gone. You know what I mean? I'm sure you have some clients that, like, you call, they don't answer, then you're waiting, and then they get mad at you because the deal fell through, but you're like, I sent the DocuSign. You know, like, what do you? That's super tough to begin with now.
Yeah, communication is number one, the biggest thing you got to do as a realtor. Like, if you're not communicating, you ain't gonna make it. Like, there's no way, no how.
What were some mistakes that you learned from? Oh, were you good? You good on that one?
I was gonna say communication, like for real estate agents. It's so weird. I can text you at 12 o'clock and be like, hey, look at this listing. And for sure as shit, you'll be like texting me back. You're like,
I know.
Here it is.
It's a curse and a blessing.
It is. Yeah, no. And it's crazy because that's like what they expect from you guys.
Like, almost you have to.
You do. I mean, you've got to be a grinder. It sucks sometimes, when you're at Easter and at the dinner table and your phone rings and, my husband looks at me and was like, are you going to answer that? I'm like, no, and then I answer. You know what I mean? I don't always like to answer my phone, obviously, but I do it because I know the other side of it. I know being excited about something or being anxious about something and waiting to hear an answer and nobody's responding, and it drives me freaking nuts. We're
in the world of now. Everything we want at Amazon Prime, but faster.
Right.
Services. I have a 24-hour turnaround time on my stuff. Like, I want people to know, like, I know what it's like to wait, like you said. So Brad has 2 phones. do you have two phones? Do you use two
I
phones, or you
don't.
just one line?
You can't do two phones as a real estate
I can't
agent.
turn it
feel
off.
Like it's
I
crazy.
can't turn it off.
See, that's
It's so nice. 5 o'clock, my auto respond kicks on until 9 in the morning or whatever I have it set on. Or like last weekend I was in Seattle, I put it on the auto respond for like a week.
I saw that.
And,
I
like,
texted you and I got a
did you?
text
Yeah.
back.
Like, I don't know. I mean, it's totally different field and market, obviously. I mean, there's accountants who like literally are in their office in the months of like, say like November, October, like these random months. Like there's accountants, they're not even there. They work 5 months of the year and then they're just like, they're almost impossible to reach. But, you know, I feel like I have a little more leeway in the sense of like, someone's like, oh, like, yeah, I left a message from my accountant. They'll call me back with like in a day or something, you know? I was like, real estate agents is like,
you don't have
like,
that time frame.
you have like
Time
5
is of the
seconds.
essence.
Yeah, like everything's like so rushed and pressured and quick in that
Yeah.
in that field.
Yeah, people want to know. So
What,
it's good, but it also is
It's
hard. It's hard, and you know the goal is to get to where. So I'll say two things. First, I'm on a team that really helps. So if I go on vacation, again, my team's filled in. They know
pick up
exactly what's
slack.
going on, and they can help me out. Same thing with any of my teammates. If they go out of town, I can help them out. The other thing is, you know, a goal of mine is to get, you know, where I'm successful enough to be a little more picky and, you know, say, hey, this is my family time. I can't answer you, but I will answer you first thing in the morning. And some people respect that and some people don't. And, you know, I'll get to a point where it's like, well, I only want to work with people who can respect that.
Yeah, you can kind of, well, so do you ever want to like grow to the point where you're more of just like an operation side of it? And like you have your real estate agents that you're just helping with their deals, and then you're like maybe only taking like the biggest of clients or like clients that you really want to work with kind of thing. Do you ever want to do that or not really?
Not really. I have control issues.
Yeah.
So do we.
Yeah, I like to be hands-on pretty
It's
much
hard to
with
grow.
everything.
It's
Yeah,
hard to grow in that sense for sure.
it is.
It's a whole nother monster.
Yeah, well, you build something, you know, and it's like they're used to dealing with me. They're used to dealing with, you know, and you're just like, they don't want to deal with anybody else. They want to deal with me. And
Car
then,
salesmen, all
yeah,
that stuff.
yeah.
you know.
And then I guess my biggest fear is like somebody's gonna come along and be better than me in my own company,
But I
which is
mean,
like
yeah.
the goal.
In a
like,
sense, like
that's
what
the
does that
goal.
look like? What is
That is
what
the
is somebody
goal.
who is better than you? Like on a photo side, I know what somebody who's better than me looks like, but like what does that look like on a real estate side? I mean, they've got to be glued to their phone, like unless they want instant answers. Like I don't really know what that looks like.
That is true.
You know,
I don't know. Maybe like follow up. Like they're just killer at follow up because
they
that's
send you
something
a
that I fear.
Sick gift basket for
yeah,
Christmas.
yeah.
You know?
I don't know.
Get the
I-
referrals from them kind of thing or something.
Well, that is like the dream, you know, to have a client database based only on referrals.
Yeah.
Like that would that's awesome. You don't have to answer the cold calls and people who are wanting to look at a piece of land, and it's like, well, it's a piece of land, you can go look at it. You know what I mean? Like
Google
I don't really want to
Earth.
drive to the county to show you a piece of land, but I will, you know. So it's just stuff like that, you know. Those are that's the goal. That's where I want to get.
Okay. I mean, on the topic of goals, we talked about it in our first couple episodes, and we kind of bring it up with every guest now. What are some of your short, medium, and long-term goals, if you feel comfortable speaking on those?
Yeah. Short term, I would like to grow my number of homes sold. So like I think the last few years I've been at 34. I have been at 34 exactly. I'd like to get to 50.
One a week.
One a week.
About, yeah.
Yeah. Take Christmas off, take my birthday
There
off.
you go.
That's it.
That's perfect.
So that's pretty short term. We're just talking business goals, right?
Mostly.
Yeah.
Okay. Medium term,
It's like 1 to 2 year.
yeah,
medium.
I'd like to do some. We recently did a flip house. I'd like to do more of that. If there's opportunity, I'd really like to get into that. And then, you know, I think we're on a good track to be top 3 teams in Pueblo.
Nice.
We were there for a little bit.
Just say, I
This
thought you
year,
guys were like 2. or
We were
something. I don't-
3 for a few
you?
months, but so
How
I
did-
want to finish there.
How do they determine like who's the top? Is it houses sold, or
It's commission
based? Okay, so that's cool.
Yeah,
that's really nice.
So I'd like for the team to get there. Obviously I want to be number one, but it's tough.
There's some pretty big teams.
There's some
too.
big competition.
When it comes to that, it's hard because it's like the teams. You can have, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like you can have like an 8-person team and be number one, but you have 8 people versus a 3-man team at number 3.
Right.
What's really more impressive?
Right, and that's something we don't have an assistant. We don't have. It's all us. Yeah. We do everything in our office. We do the marketing. We do real estate. We do the business running. Like, we do it all, and which is good because we're all pretty hands-on. Like I was saying, we have some control problems, but
would that be a long-term goal, is to get somebody in that position to kind of fulfill that role?
Yeah, I mean, I would think so, somebody who could do all of the marketing so that, and, the admin work and stuff like that, so that we can focus on
just
selling,
and the customer experience and building those relationships.
Because it makes it a lot easier to answer your phone when you haven't been at the office all day doing, the
exact same thing that people want,
the admin
are calling
stuff.
about.
The admin, exactly. So I don't know. That was something I would see for the future for the team. I'm not.
I mean,
I think
I think most businesses, like, the first person to hire that's like most beneficial is like admin or something. Like, it helps so much to take all that little miscellaneous stuff, because those 15 minutes and 20 minutes, it adds up so quick. And if you can get an admin in there to take 8 hours off your plate, well, now you have 6 working days a week instead of 5. Like, that's huge on just the little stuff. I do that all the time. I'll get into my office on Mondays, and it's like, once I'm done with emails, calls, texts, running payroll, like, it's like 2:00.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, like, what am I going to do now? The day feels like over almost. It's
the amount of emails. Gina specifically, she gets a lot of emails, and the amount of time she spends checking her email, it's hard. Like, she is a badass. I know I've said that before, but she has rentals. She runs the real estate office. Like, this, she's a beast.
It's a lot on her plate.
It is. It's so much on her plate. And so, part of the team is like, Nick and I and Andy kind of take some of the other stuff on, but, really it's under her license. She's Team Gena Ryder. So anything we do, if we mess up, repercussions are back Gena on her and us.
Specifically.
Yeah. Right. So she's got a tough job.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, anything that goes wrong, I'm sure she hears it. She has to fix it. She's
has to
putting
answer.
Band-Aids on things,
Right.
hopefully long-term solutions for certain situations. That's a reason why I don't think I could grow under my name, is because if something gets put out under my name specifically, I'm going to look bad.
Yeah.
And it's like, I had no part of that creatively or approving that, like same thing with you. Your business name is your personal name, so if.
Yeah, it is. I've considered, like, just doing DF Inc. or something and going by that, honestly. But the main reason I did that is because it's less spelling.
Yeah.
It's like way shorter.
That Instagram handle is something fierce.
I know. But I don't know. It's kind of weird because any business you grow, I guess, you can name your business something generic and try to grow it. But at the end of the day, like, it's still your company, so you're still the face of it. You're still gonna deal with it, I guess. But the pressure of having, like, your name right smack on the company is a little bit higher to, like, perform for sure. But
what were some of your biggest accomplishments within real estate? Like, what were some of the things that, like, pinnacle moments where you're like, yeah, this is it, like,
this is the right choice for me?
Yeah. Well, I would say, losing all my money, and then my first sale, I was like, okay, I can do this. Like, I know just from this, I mean, it was a tiny deal, but it was groceries for a month. You know what I mean? So, like, it was one of those moments where you're like, holy shit. Can I say shit?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Wait till episode 3. You can cuss.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I cuss a lot, and I told Brad, like, I'm nervous. I'm gonna have to watch my potty mouth. Okay. But anyways, it was something, reassuring, in anything in life, and you're like, I can't do it, or I can do it. I did it. I fail, and then do you do it again? You know what I mean? Like, so I guess that is one of my biggest accomplishments, is coming back from nothing. And then I guess another one was my first $1 million deal.
That's huge.
That was
Was
huge.
that here locally?
It was. It was apartment complex. Referral
Nice.
from him, actually. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Double-sided deal, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly.
double-sided deal. So it was.
Dang. Brad with the alley-oop for the $1
Yeah.
million
Yeah.
listing.
Hey, that's
million-
payback for all the times I helped you.
Yeah, no,
in
100%. Yeah, literally with my first, even when I first started doing an accounting thing, like I hadn't done it in 2 years because I couldn't get a job, and so I went and did the first day. It was like a subcontractor gig. I went and did it the first day, and there was a couple things I was like, I don't even remember what I'm doing. And I texted Alicia, and I was like, hey, how do I do this? She was still in accounting at the time, and she texted me like, oh no, it's this. Just do this or whatever. So the next day I went back and I did that, and the guy I was working with was like, oh wow, I'm surprised you knew that. And that's literally what started like to DOS Financial, was with that one connection. So yeah, it was pretty
welcome.
crazy. So there you go.
There you go.
Dang.
Yeah. It worked out.
That's a lot of back scratching going on. Yeah. That's super awesome.
Yeah.
So what sets you and your team apart? I know you mentioned like building solid relationships with your customer, but what sets you and your team apart from every other team and solo real estate agent out there?
I really think it's the relationship that we have with each other within the team. You know, I think you spend 5 minutes with our team and you can tell like we really all care about each other. You know, obviously I want to beat other people on the team. That's just competition, but it's from a place of love. And I think, you know, when you have support like that, it makes it easier in a job that's really tough. I mean, it's a tough job. Real estate is no walk in the park. So having somebody to complain to or, you know, help you out when you need it, like I think that is something that translates to how we take care of our clients. Just the relationship and the care that we have for each other kind of rolls over to, you know,
They can feel the love and the bond that you guys have with one another.
Yeah, and if, you know, you were my client and you called Nick and he was like, hey, how can I help you? Oh, hey, David, you know, like he knows who you are.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that is a little bit lost in the other teams, and it's probably 3 times as much work as we have to do.
Of course.
But that's what makes us successful.
No,
So.
that's huge.
Yeah, I would imagine that the teams, like the top tier teams, probably are way bigger than yours, are they not?
They are, yeah. I mean, the top 2 have like 4 agents, 8 agents, you know.
Okay.
And I know one of them just meets weekly, and that's their only kind of communication with each other. So
A lot of people are just like adding agents just to add revenue, which business side it makes sense, but
yeah. And like
that little
we
love.
work in the same 4 walls, so it's very important to us that we're close and we all kind of know what's going on. It's a lot.
Everybody's on the same page.
Yeah.
We all have the same goal, ambition, and you know how one another like react to certain situations.
Exactly.
You know?
And we all process everything, you know, files as, you know, as far as that goes. We have a process. We all follow the same system. I think that's important too, because, you know, if I'm out of the office and somebody calls the office and they're like, oh, I know where that file is. It's right here.
Yeah.
So I just think, you know, the relationship that we have with each other is very beneficial to how we have relationships with our clients. And plus, you know, they're a surplus of information. Nick and Gena have done everything from foreclosures to rentals to residential to new construction, you know, and I've learned in the last 4 years, like
right alongside
everything. Yeah. And, you know, it's drinking out of a fire hose, but, you know, I learned and here I am. So it's been awesome.
Yeah, you mentioned like the healthy competition. That's like, I love competing too, and that's one thing that I kind of do miss. I don't feel like I don't have anything to compete against except for myself, and everyone's like, compete against yourself. That's so boring. I feel like you as an athlete, you're so used to probably competing against other people.
I need a contest for
and
sure.
so I was like, that's really cool that you guys have that, because it's a healthy competition, yes, but I know that, like you said, if someone calls into your guys' office, you know, like I know Andy's going to be like, oh yeah, let me do this, or Nick or whoever, you know what I mean? Even though you're in competition, you're not, it's a different kind of competition.
Yeah, I mean, we all have one common goal, and that is to be the best team collectively. You know, that's what you sign up for when you get on a team. If you want to be like superstar, the team's probably not for you, you know, and that's fine. Yeah. But
you're only as strong as your weakest teammate, you know,
right? Yeah, and I just, you know, I'm very comfortable in a team environment. I was an athlete. And I just kind of feel like that's where I belong.
We were both scholared Division II
Oh,
athletes.
Jesus. Here we go.
Can we talk about Brad's racquetball career real quick? Because I don't think it's never came up on the podcast, and I don't think anybody would know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't like to brag about it is the thing,
Where's
but
your plaque?
I don't know. I was scholared athlete, Division II athlete, so we took practice very seriously on the racquetball
Placard
team.
didn't happen. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, it's over there.
Okay.
It's for sure over there. Okay. Yeah, I was at the same athlete banquet you were.
Once. You were once.
One time. I don't know why I didn't get invited to the first one. I should have been. I was on the team for 2 years.
Okay.
But yeah, no. So yeah, I don't like to brag or anything, but
We were both college athletes.
correct.
Good job.
Yeah, I didn't go to college.
I'm
so,
sure.
He's
I'm
a
sure.
smart one.
I think
on the table.
I think your scholarship was a little bit bigger than mine, though.
you went to school on a racquetball scholarship?
I literally got paid. I was literally scholared, but it wasn't like huge. It's cool that I say it because I think my first year I got like $1,000 scholarship. I think the second year was like $1,500 or something.
That's a lot.
So it's not
ramen.
bad, right? It's not bad, but also like everyone else on the team but me was like full ride, I believe. So that was.
Well, they were what carried
tell
you to
people
that
that.
national championship.
Oh yeah, I don't. Let's leave the national championship to a different episode. I'll
Okay.
keep them waiting.
Yeah. Tune in next week.
Been waiting.
So I guess we'll kind of start winding things down.
Mm-hmm.
But what's some advice that you would give to some of the newcomers in your industry? Because there's a lot of them.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, I've been very low in this business and I've been pretty high. So I think the biggest difference was finding a mentor who really knows what they're doing, because you can take all the classes you want. You can go to all the seminars about selling, but it's not the same. It doesn't translate. It really doesn't. I learned more sitting in the office and watching Gena interact with clients and Nick interact with clients and write contracts and talk on the phone with people and other agents than I ever did in a classroom setting. So I think, that's the biggest thing. And the other thing is work your ass off. I mean, it sucks. And you're probably, if you're thinking about getting into real estate, it's maybe like a part-time thing. And if that's your bag, that's cool. But this is my career. You know what I mean? So you gotta fucking work. I mean, it sucks, but you gotta
Technically,
work.
if I'm a newcomer on the market, I have to outwork you.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be easy.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, and your name is everything. So you've got to make an impression, make a good one. And, people aren't so mad when you're like, I don't know. I'll find out. Mm-hmm. They're mad when you think you act like and then you're wrong.
You just steer them in the wrong direction.
Right. And it's like, well, they feel lied to, and, communicate. That's really, I would say, one of the main things. You got to talk to people because, like we talked about, nobody likes waiting on it.
So can we address that too? Because I do hear a lot of people who are like, oh, when I retire, I'm just going to be a part-time real estate agent. Mm-hmm.
That's my mom,
work?
by the way. She said that to me.
So is she? Oh, okay.
No, she hasn't
retired,
retired, but she's like, oh yeah, when I retire, I want to get into real estate. And I'm like, mother,
you better hope
don't
for
do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
So like, is that a thing? Like, can you be a part-time real estate agent if you've never been a full-time real estate agent? Numbers wise, does that even make sense? Is that even a realistic thing?
Numbers wise, I would say it's probably not the best business decision unless you have like a long line of contacts that don't care if you're good at it or not. Like, I don't mean that to sound bad, but the part-time real estate realtors that you find in town were full-time.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and they
have that call list.
Right,
yeah.
and they know what they're doing. So with part-time, I would say, it's part-time anything. Are you going to be good at, if you're a part-time, I don't know,
part-time accountant?
Bookkeeper?
Like,
What
does that look like?
Actually.
Part-time bookkeeping?
Yeah, I do that.
Yeah,
I've got like 4 hustles. It's fine. Anyways, so, but I'm just saying, like, how can you really be great at something if you're part-timing anything?
If you're not dedicating your whole time to something, how can you expect to be great and pull all of this money? Like, realistically, you couldn't be like part-time now. Like, if you were to say, I'm going to be part-time, I think I want to go back to accounting. You technically couldn't do that, like you can't pick and choose.
Yeah.
And like, I don't think it'll be as profitable as what people think it will be.
Right. Yeah. So you can't show property anytime you want if you have another job. You can't work on deals all day unless you own another business and maybe you've got flexibility.
Yeah.
I don't, I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay. I just wanted to clear the air with that.
Yeah,
because
it's
a lot
just-
of people feel like that's their like end all be all. I'm gonna ride into the sunset being a part-time real estate agent. I'm gonna drive a nice car, get a nice headshot, and
It's not relaxing. Like if you're looking to get into it because it's relaxing and it's easy money, it's not.
You'd probably be more relaxed working at McDonald's.
Yeah.
maybe
Like
or
where you
being,
can clock out.
being in the office, being that that position that we were talking about earlier, the administrative side of things. I guess if you want to get into real estate, that might be a better avenue.
Yeah.
And it might pay you better.
Yeah.
Technically, because
There's
if
a
you're
lot
not
of-
selling houses, you're not making anything.
Yeah,
and you're
there's a
still
lot
paying
of
fees.
facets of real estate. Title, lenders, all kinds
I
of
think
stuff.
if I could do it all over again, I would either do HVAC or I'd be a home inspector.
Yep.
100%.
Do a trade.
Those home
Oh,
inspectors
yeah.
are just raking it in.
Yeah.
I work with a lot of people in the trades. That's a great,
Yeah.
great field.
That's why I said he was a smart one at the table. He didn't go to college.
Yeah.
He knows
Technically,
better.
IQ probably not the smartest, but debt to income ratio probably.
Yeah.
Depending on
Probably.
Brad's $1,000 scholarship.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
pretty.
definitely it's pretty nice, but but yeah, no, like contractors and it's crazy.
Closing,
it kind of
title
goes.
companies.
It kind of goes back to the real estate market too. Like if you're an HVAC, you're a plumber. Like we're in a massive housing shortage. So what does that mean? There'll be a lot of new builds. So what does that mean? There's a lot of damn work if you're
Yeah.
putting in ACs.
And I know
and
a lot of
heaters and
guys who
stuff.
do HVAC and electrical, and they would much rather do new construction rather than try and fish new outlets through your old ass house.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I
or be
bet.
in your crawl space trying to take the furnace out. That the house was built around the damn furnace.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think if I could do it all over again, HVAC for sure. Like those guys they set their rates and it's just crazy. So we have a reoccurring question on the podcast as well.
boy.
So that's really easy.
You didn't prepare me for this.
Oh
did
yeah,
you?
we didn't
Okay.
tell you about that one. But so lasting legacy. What do you want your lasting legacy to be within real estate, within your community, within your clients? That lives longer than you.
I think just that I took care of people. I think, that's kind of my role outside of real estate. And if I can bring that into real estate and really, when I say take care of people, that's kind of broad, but, make sure that they're well informed. They always felt comfortable and they had a good experience because, it's stressful, like we talked about. And, I don't want to be at the closing table with somebody that's sad or, anything like that. I always want it to be a pleasant experience. So I think it just really taking care of people and making them know that I care about them. Their house is, it's a, what am I trying to say?
Just
A thing.
an asset.
Yeah,
just a
I
thing,
mean-
yeah.
It's an object.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear from my clients. I'm friends with a lot of my clients that I've worked with in the past. I've made a lot of great friends. So I just think that's something that I really take pride in is relationships.
Good.
Yeah. I think that's what I want. My
I love that
legacy to
answer.
be.
Yeah, it's a good answer.
Well, sweet. Well, if people want to get in contact with you for any kind of questions or possibly, helping them with their next real estate venture, where can they find you and reach you at?
Well, I'm on Instagram and Facebook. So I guess I'll give you my real estate one. So we're at Team Gena Ryder. That's our handle. And it's Team Gena, GenaRyder. And that's for Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, and we'll have all the links in the description wherever you're listening or watching it.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for all of your
course.
time and all the information.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
It's
of
fun.
course. Absolutely. This has been the Lasting Legacy Podcast. Check us out, weekly uploads, and let us know in the comments. Give us a thumbs up. Tell us what you want to see, who you want on here. Good night.